I feel sorry to the fans because the fight is boring. The fight is boring. Like that's not the fans expecting to us.
Pretty certain Terence Crawford in his brain is saying to himself, I can beat this dude. You know what I'm saying? If he actually goes through with it, he'll be 38 years of age next Sunday.
Is the guy right now in the sport that's supposed to be the man, big bad wolf. You beat him, you the wolf. Now it's like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, who else I'm gonna fight? You beat the shark, you beat the wolf.
Manny Pacquiao mocked Floyd Mayweather for calling out Terence Crawford, saying he actually feels bad for the fans, since this isn't the type of fight boxing deserves. Pacquiao stressed that it would only turn out boring, nothing more than a mere exhibition. He reminded people that Floyd has been retired for years and hasn't fought seriously in a long time, which makes the entire idea pointless.
The fight is boring. Like that's not the fans expecting to us. I mean, as a fighter, if I'm a fan, of course I want to see a good fight, like changing fight, not a passion show.
Manny Pacquiao did not hold back in criticizing Floyd Mayweather. He said he feels pity for the retired champion, claiming Floyd's focus is now tied almost entirely to money. According to Manny, Mayweather's return to the ring isn't about legacy or sports, it's simply about squeezing money from exhibition matches. He described a potential showdown with Terence Crawford as nothing but an event driven by greed, not competition. For Manny, that shows a hollow version of boxing because it strips away true competition and reduces the sport into a business show where fighters walk out, like models instead of warriors entering the ring.
Now, in the beginning of this conversation, you say, I don't like boastful people. How was it like fighting Mayweather then? Did he get on your nerves? Because I feel like he's a little bit more boastful than the people you might be wanting to hang out with.
Yeah, he's boastful. I think his God is the material things, money, everything like that. I'm pretty with him because I want to share the word of God in him if he believe God.
Yeah, I've heard he's a generous man. I think he's done good things. I think, he kind of reminds me of like a lot of people are like this, by the way, including myself. I'm not just saying him. I'm including myself. The man who goes up to Jesus and says, what should I do to get into heaven? He says, sell all your belongings. And he walked away crying because he couldn't sell his belongings.
Exactly.
The announcement of Floyd Mayweather facing Mike Tyson in 2026 sent shockwaves throughout the boxing world. Analysts were quick to note that this fight doesn't represent two fighters at their peak, but an entertainment spectacle built for revenue. The bout is being sold as a warm-up for Mayweather before possibly meeting Terence Crawford in the same year. Observers say both fights are financially motivated with huge pay-per-view numbers expected. Tyson still carries legendary status while Floyd maintains his global brand, ensuring that the event will attract worldwide attention despite lacking sporting significance.
Broadcast for Jake and Tyson and some people like the likes of Carl Froch viewed that as an endorsement. Like, look, man, I'm just working. It's a big opportunity to be on Netflix. I didn't put the fight together. I'm not paying these guys. So, let's chill out. But all right, I'm not going to poo-poo this. I just don't know what CSI is. And the way it was presented made me think that there was like a secondary press release to come, that they'll be involved in like some sort of like virtual boxing thing. Like, it just didn't seem real. You know why it didn't seem real? I'll tell you why. There's no date attached to it. There's no venue attached to it. Forget rules, exhibition, not exhibition, weight. I mean, here's a guy who fought a heavyweight forget all that. These things can get figured out, the fine details. The fact that it was announced, why announce something with no date or location attached to it? What's the point? Unless you're just trying to get people excited and trying to get them, trying to get some investors or something like that.
But maybe also testing the waters. If the response was overwhelmingly positive, maybe you go, okay, we move forward. If the response is muted or negative, maybe you go, okay, we're not going to actually do this. You lob it out there as a way to poll the public, and then make an adjustment.
So you don't think it happens?
I do not think it happens. I just don't think there will be enough interest. I know they have huge name value. There's zero, after the last performance by Mike Tyson against Jake Paul, I don't think there's going to be interest in seeing Mike Tyson do that again.
Terence Crawford has always spoken with admiration for Manny Pacquiao. When talking about him, he pointed out that Manny's career stands unmatched in boxing history. The Filipino legend captured titles across several weight divisions, often taking on bigger opponents and beating the odds. Crawford said Manny's achievements were not only historic but also nearly impossible for anyone to repeat, since he reached greatness in a unique era by accepting challenges others would never dare.
man, a generational talented fighter. Like, he's accomplished what no other fighter is ever going to accomplish.
The potential fight between Terence Crawford and David Benavidez has become a major talking point among fans. Benavidez is seen as one of boxing's most dangerous men today. With his size, youth, and aggression, many believe such a fight would test Crawford in ways no opponent ever has. But so far, no official confirmation exists, leaving it all as speculation. The discussion shows how hungry fans are for meaningful, high-risk fights instead of exhibitions and celebrity-driven shows.
Shock the world, not me, but shock the world. This past Saturday, Mexican Independence Day weekend, what he took on defeated another first ballot Hall of Famer, but he essentially jumped up 3 weight classes, technically 2, from 154 to 168, but only had 1 fight at 154 last August against Israel Majamov. Terence Crawford defeated Saul Canelo Alvarez, who is a 4-division champion, 2-time undisputed super middleweight, and the reigning, at the time, super middleweight world champion, undisputed world champion. And Terence Crawford beat him handily and convincingly. And because he beat him so easily, now the 63 win, 3 loss, 2 draw, 39 win by way of knockout, biggest threat has been now imposed on Terence Bud Crawford. And that's the Mexican Ecuadorian monster, David Benavidez, who is a 2-division undefeated world champion, is the 2-time WBC super middleweight and reigning WBC light heavyweight, 175-pound champion, who has a record of 30 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout. He stands 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach. This is a fight that David Benavidez has been calling for Canelo Alvarez when he was at 168, and Canelo Alvarez strategically maneuvered around him. But Canelo Alvarez is 5'7" with a 70-inch arm reach, started his career at 147 pounds, made his real name at 154 pounds. He's not a big guy, okay? And styles make fights. Benavidez is 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach. His last fight at 168 against Demetrius Andrade, he rehydrated to 193. So he's a big guy. Canelo Alvarez probably rehydrate to 182, maybe 185 max, right? He's not a big guy, right?
Trainer Greg Hackett praised Terence Crawford after his incredible win over Canelo Alvarez. He called Canelo the shark of boxing, a dominant figure who had controlled the sport for years with skill and strength. Hackett said that Crawford not only faced Canelo, but completely dismantled him, proving a power shift at the very top of the boxing world. Beating someone once seen as untouchable now makes Crawford the new predator, the man all others must fear. Hackett also raised a key question: if Crawford could handle the toughest fighter of his generation, then who is left to truly test him? Fans now debate whether he will keep fighting long enough to face new challenges or retire at the peak of dominance.
Because you got to remember, Canelo is the guy right now in the sport that's supposed to be the man, you know, big bad wolf. You beat him, you the wolf. Now it's like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, who else I'm gonna fight? You beat the shark, you beat the wolf. Right. Damn. Like, you know what I mean? Ain't no more ops out there. It's ops out there, but who gonna make them really want to get up? That's the
shit gotta make sense. Like you said, you be the shark and then you be the wolf.
Yeah.
But there's the monster.
Yeah, there is, but that's like a real monster.
Bro, that's to me it don't make sense. But that's
really
what
a monster.
Yo, is that proof? All right, we got the legendary Pape in the building. Legend. But what makes sense? Like, what makes the most sense? I know you said get a line of suits, Brooks Brothers.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Your line of suits get your money. Yeah, go ahead and get the easy money. Man. You ain't gotta sweat no more.
What's up,
Not saying you ain't gotta work, you ain't gotta sweat.
What's happening?
He's paved a career where he could sit down at a table and get this money. He could come out with a Terence Crawford series now, just whatever, doing whatever he like to do. People gonna watch it. Nobody, the fighting part, people don't understand what it's like to be a fighter. A lot of times fighters really don't be interested in certain fights. It's cause when a guy see himself up here, and then fighting a guy down here, it don't interest him. So therefore, when he train, he not gonna really train. He gonna train, but he not gonna train. He not gonna listen. He gonna feel like his coach taking it too serious, and he's like, man, this ain't even that. But your coach like, listen, you gonna get fucked up. I'm telling you, you don't want to listen. Then you go in there and fight that guy. Then you get. I seen it happen.
Analysts widely agree that Terence Crawford's victory over Canelo Alvarez was the defining moment of his career, ending any debate about his place in boxing history. Before this fight, fans respected Crawford for his decisive win over Errol Spence, where he showed full control and silenced critics who doubted his competition level. But beating Canelo carried even greater weight. Canelo had long been one of the sport's pound-for-pound kings, ruling multiple divisions and fighting bigger men. Crawford not only accepted that challenge, but destroyed Canelo in a way few thought possible. By doing so, he proved his skills stretched beyond one weight class or style. He displayed adaptability, technical brilliance, and toughness at the highest stage. Today, observers nearly all agree that Crawford is one of the rare fighters who has conquered every challenge put in front of him.
But I think there was enough action, and I think Crawford displayed his skill enough, even to someone with not the most trained eye, that they know they saw a very high-level athlete perform something at a very high level last night. I think he gained the sports world's attention last night and respect. He already did after Spence, but it went to another level in this fight.
And I think even the fight itself, like just from a median level, but then the moments where they were having these exchanges, like kind of late in the fight, then people were like, all right, it was good. Then like, okay, I saw somebody like, they're squabbing. Like, this is a fight here. So I think it did.
And Crawford closed the show.
Yeah.
In 10, 11, 12, he stood in there and landed some hard shots and rocked Canelo at the bell. He didn't, when James was talking about the great Floyd Mayweather, Floyd would go up on you 8-0 and then coast, and you might as well turn the fight off at midway through the ninth. Like, you know, he's not going to, but Crawford didn't do that. But he wasn't up 8-0, to be fair to Floyd, but and Floyd was when he fought Canelo, so he could do that. But Bud instead steps on the gas. Bud is a finisher. You know, he closes really strong. He closes really strong in every exchange. That's one of his gifts. He's the best counterpuncher of his era, one of the greatest counterpunchers that lived. But the great fighters, James would tell us about this. James and Mike McCallum put on fights that exemplify what I'm talking about: initiating and punctuating, being first, being last. That's one of the things that makes Crawford who he is. So, no, I think it was a good enough fight that it certainly didn't hurt boxing.
Yeah, I think Sport of Boxing delivered last night. I mean, Crawford didn't deliver.
Yeah,
Manny,
did.
The debate over Terence Crawford versus Floyd Mayweather is one of boxing's most fascinating conversations. Some analysts argue that Mayweather's defense, timing, and unmatched ring IQ would have given him the advantage if they had fought in their primes. Floyd mastered the art of neutralizing opponents, dictating pace, and forcing elite fighters into uncomfortable positions. His undefeated record proves his ability to adapt to any style. On the other hand, many believe Crawford's versatility, punching power, and calm pressure could have made him Mayweather's toughest rival. Crawford's stand-switching smart bursts of pressure and unpredictability might have forced Floyd into exchanges he avoided. In the end, the comparison highlights two different forms of greatness: Mayweather's legacy of control and precision versus Crawford's mix of aggression and adaptability. The debate will never be settled, but it shows the respect both fighters inspire across generations.
Fantasy matchup between Prime Mayweather and Prime Crawford, I've tended to lean slightly towards Mayweather. But after that performance there against Canelo, not just the fact he won, the manner in which he won, I've changed my mind. I would now lean towards Prime Crawford over Mayweather. And the reason I say this is because of the expert way in which Terence Crawford mixed offensive in the pocket boxing with defensive on the move boxing. Not running, save for maybe a round or two. No, just moving nicely. Because if there's one area of Floyd Mayweather's game that was underdeveloped, it's his front foot game. Whenever Mayweather was forced to walk an opponent down, what he did was actually very basic. He would hold his hands up and he would walk forward throwing straight right hands. Okay, they were accurate straight right hands. They were well-timed straight right hands. But there wasn't a whole heap of head movement. There wasn't a whole heap of creative or dynamic footwork, coming forward, walking somebody down. No, it was very, very basic stuff. And I don't think an approach that basic would have worked against, let's say, a Tommy Hearns, who was 6'1", 6'2", 78-inch reach, massive puncher, good hand speed. So I always thought that a prime Tommy Hearns would beat prime Mayweather, because I can't see Mayweather doing what Ray Leonard did, grabbing the bull by the horns and taking it to Tommy Hearns. Can't see him doing that. And if he did try and do it, he's going to get clipped. Tommy Hearns hit so hard, that guard from Mayweather wouldn't be enough, in my opinion. And I never saw Mayweather on the front foot moving his head a lot. When he's in the middle of the ring or on the back foot, when he's being defensive, yeah, that's when he moves his head. The famous Philly shell defense, the shoulder roll and all that. But coming forward, no, it's a lot more basic. Go watch Mayweather's old fights. You'll see what I'm talking about. Whenever he's forced to come forward, it's basic stuff. And so after watching Crawford's performance against Canelo, I got to thinking, you know what? Maybe Crawford employs similar tactics if he fights a prime Mayweather.
With so many accomplishments, Crawford now stands at a crossroads. Fans want him to chase new challenges, whether it's Benavidez, Jermall Charlo, or other big names. Yet there's also the chance he could retire instead of taking more risks. At 37, he has little left to prove and could walk away still on top. This uncertainty frustrates fans who fear losing one of the sport's last active greats at a time when boxing needs big fights the most.
Sheik said, deliver the job to Terence Crawford. The fight is big showbiz.
And Saturday, deliver the job.
Y'all missed the most important part. It's when he said, don't retire.
No retirement.
This is what you guys are missing. Turkey Sheik was trying to say, return the favor.
You must return it. Yeah.
Bud interrupted him by saying the job ain't done, which prompted Turkey Sheik to say, yeah, deliver the job. But that's not what he was on. He was on the first part, return the favor. But Turkey, in a second thought, he goes back to Bud and he says, and don't retire.
No retirement.
That's what Turkey meant when he was trying to say, return the favor. I did this for you. You got this big fight, but don't retire. Return the favor.
UFC legend Daniel Cormier was among the latest to praise Terence Crawford after reacting to Ilia Topuria's surprise callout. Cormier, respected for his combat sports knowledge, admitted Topuria is rising fast in MMA and has future superstar momentum. But even with the hype, Cormier said he would back Crawford without hesitation. He explained that Crawford has already proven why he deserves recognition as the best active fighter, with his record and dominance speaking louder than speculation. What makes Cormier's words powerful is that they come from outside boxing, showing how Crawford's greatness is respected across all combat sports, not just the boxing ring.
Bet that Ilia Topuria could knock Terence Crawford out, no chance. If I had to bet Ilia Topuria versus Terence Crawford, I'm betting Terence Crawford. I mean, he's the best boxer in the world, and this is what he does, and he's done his entire life. But we also knew that about Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather. We knew, right, deep down, that Conor McGregor was not going to knock out Floyd Mayweather. But because of what we had seen him do inside of the octagon, we had seen him do to all those great fighters in MMA, when he walked into that ring, people thought he had a chance. He didn't really have a chance. Conor never had a chance against Floyd Mayweather. And it would feel that way with Topuria. But you could at least sell that there's a chance because of how good he is in boxing and how he knocks people out inside the UFC. Initially, I thought Bud Crawford would just no-sell Ilia Topuria, right? When you're the king and everybody's calling your name, you can literally just ignore them and nobody will say anything about it. But Bud Crawford isn't one to ignore.